With a left hook capable of sending shockwaves through the ring, Tommy Morrison established himself as one of the most feared knockout artists in boxing history. His power, frightening; his fights, thrilling; his story, indelible. He was a knockout artist, winning 48 fights and achieving 42 by KO, an 87.5% knockout rate. His power and aggressive style made him a feared force in the ring. Tommy wasn't just another contender. He was a force of nature. With speed, aggression, and devastating one-punch power, some even compared him to Mike Tyson. His fists built a legacy, but his life was a roller coaster of triumph, controversy, and tragedy. From defeating George Foreman to shocking upsets. From Rocky V's stardom to an HIV diagnosis that changed everything. Morrison's highs were electric, and his lows, crushing. His battles were relentless, his downfall heartbreaking. But was he truly one of boxing's hardest hitters? Let's break down the meteoric rise, the crushing falls, and the unforgettable legacy of the Duke. Morrison's journey began with his professional debut on November 10th, 1988, when he exploded onto the boxing scene with a devastating knockout of William Muhammad in New York City. From that moment, he tore through the heavyweight division, leaving a path of destruction and building a name as one of the most dangerous punchers in the sport. Then came his moment of truth. June 7th, 1993. Morrison stepped into the ring against the legendary George Foreman for the WBO heavyweight title. Many doubted he could withstand Foreman's power, let alone win. But Morrison shocked everyone, not with a slugfest, but with strategy. Instead of trading bombs, he fought smart, outboxing Foreman over 12 grueling rounds to claim the WBO championship. It was the pinnacle of his career, but as fast as Morrison rose, the fall came even faster. However, his reign was short-lived. Later that same year, in a stunning upset, Michael Bent handed Morrison a first-round knockout loss, taking his title in just 93 seconds.
Nothing but haymakers right now, and Morrison in deep trouble, and Morrison is down.
It was a devastating setback, but Morrison rebounded, scoring impressive wins over notable heavyweights like Pinklon Thomas and Donovan Razor Ruddock. Morrison wasn't just making waves in the boxing world. Hollywood took notice. He landed the role of Tommy the Machine Gun in Rocky V, starring alongside Sylvester Stallone. The film gave Morrison mainstream fame, but it was his work inside the ring that truly made him a star. In 1996, Morrison's career came to a shocking halt when he tested positive for HIV. The announcement rocked the sports world.
There was a certain point in time in my life, those tests do in fact confirm that I have tested positive for the HIV virus. As an individual that had the opportunity to be a role model and blew it.
Boxing commissions worldwide banned him from competing, and just like that, his career was over, or so it seemed. Morrison spent years refusing to accept his diagnosis, insisting that he had been misdiagnosed. After taking a decade-long break from the sport, he made an unexpected comeback in 2006, participating in both boxing and even trying his hand at MMA. However, his return to the ring was brief, and his health continued to deteriorate. In 2008, Morrison was no longer the young, ferocious slugger who had once shocked the boxing world. At 39 years old, he was attempting a comeback after a long absence, facing a young, undefeated fighter in Matt Weishaupt. And let's just say, rust was a factor. Morrison struggled with his footwork early on, nearly stumbling in the second round. Weishaupt, using a sharp jab, managed to take the opening frame. But experience and raw power were still on Morrison's side. In the third round, Morrison turned back the clock, unleashing a barrage of head-snapping shots. A crushing left hook, followed by a right cross, was all it took. The referee had seen enough. Morrison, despite the years and setbacks, still had the kind of power that could end fights in an instant. This amazing content deserves a subscription. Don't miss out. If you're talking about absolute slugfests, Morrison versus Donovan Razor Ruddock is a must-watch. This fight had everything. Knockdowns, brutal exchanges, and a comeback straight out of a Rocky movie. Ruddock wasted no time, dropping Morrison in the very first round. But Tommy wasn't going out like that. He recovered, came back strong in the second, and matched Ruddock punch for punch through the next few rounds. But in the fifth, It looked like Ruddock was taking over. He rocked Morrison with vicious left hooks, forcing him onto the defensive. Then came round 6. Ruddock hurt Morrison with a sharp combination, but just when it seemed like Tommy was in trouble, he unleashed a thunderous left hook. Boom! Ruddock hit the canvas. He beat the count, but Morrison smelled blood. He pounced, unloading a flurry of shots that had Ruddock reeling against the ropes. The referee stepped in, stopping the fight just before the bell. Morrison had done it again. Another war, another knockout, and another unforgettable moment. Imagine training for months for the biggest fight of your career, only for your opponent to back out at the last second. That's exactly what happened to Tommy Morrison in 1993. He was supposed to defend his WBO heavyweight title against Mike Williams, but Williams withdrew on fight night. Enter Tim Tomaszek, a last-minute replacement who had been drinking before the fight, not thinking he'd have to step in the ring. Despite the chaotic circumstances, Tomaszek came out swinging, even winning the first round on the judges' scorecards. But that was as good as it got for him. Morrison fought patiently, picking his shots and waiting for the right moment. And when it came, it was brutal. A multi-punch combination dropped Tomaszek, and by the end of the 4th round, his corner had seen enough. He walked to the wrong corner after the round, dazed and battered, and the fight was stopped. It was a bizarre night, but Morrison walked away with another win, and another knockout to add to his highlight reel. Now, if you expected a slugfest between Tommy Morrison and George Foreman, 2 of the hardest hitters in boxing history, think again. This fight wasn't about power, it was about strategy. Going into this bout, Morrison knew he couldn't stand toe-to-toe with a legend like Foreman. Instead of brawling, he boxed. He stayed on the outside, used his footwork, and landed precise shots while keeping out of Foreman's danger zone. It wasn't pretty, but it was effective. Morrison controlled the fight from start to finish, never letting Foreman get into his rhythm. When the final bell rang, the scorecards weren't even close. Morrison won a lopsided unanimous decision, capturing the WBO heavyweight title and proving that he was more than just a knockout artist. He was a smart fighter too. Although Jim Morrison experienced significant ups and downs in his career and personal life, those who knew him often praised his generosity and friendliness. He would frequently donate large sums of money to people in need, sometimes even to strangers. He remained loyal to those who supported him and never lost the charm that endeared him to his fans. Tommy Morrison's life came to a tragic end on September 1st, 2013, at the age of just 44. The official cause of death was health complications related to his illness. However, controversy and speculation about his diagnosis continued even after his passing. Morrison's name will always be tied to his devastating left hook, his Hollywood moment in Rocky V, and the controversy that followed him. But beyond that, he was a fighter, inside and outside the ring. A man who rose to the pinnacle of boxing, fell from grace, and fought to reclaim his legacy. Tommy Morrison's career was a mix of explosive knockouts, unforgettable wins, and controversy. When he returned in 2008 against Matt Weishar, he wasn't the same fighter, but his power was still there, securing a 3rd-round TKO. His 1995 war with Donovan "Razor" Ruddock was a true test. Ruddock had him in trouble, but Morrison's grit and devastating punches earned him a 6th-round TKO. His biggest moment came that same year, when he outboxed George Foreman to claim the WBO heavyweight championship. Instead of brawling, Morrison fought smart, winning by unanimous decision. Morrison wasn't just a knockout artist, he was a force of nature. His highlight reel finishes and wars in the ring made him unforgettable. His career had highs and lows, but his power was undeniable. What do you think about Tommy Morrison's legacy? Was he one of the hardest hitters ever? Let us know in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe for more legendary boxing stories.